Saagar Enjeti presents himself as a pro-worker conservative populist, but his history suggests otherwise. Ooh, a deep dive from Mint Press News. Let's take a look at these points. Enjeti studied security studies at Georgetown and counterterrorism at an IDF-linked Israeli university where Mossad spies are trained. Damn. He then went to work for the neocon think tank, the Institute for the Study of War, founded by the Kagan dynasty, the intellectual driving force behind the Iraq War. How he can square that with being an anti-war outsider, I just don't know. 4. He also worked for the conservative Hudson Institute, full of high Bush-era neocons who are demanding we go to war with China right now. Hudson is founded by all the usual weapons contractors and giant corporations who would make a killing from a new Cold War with the PRC. 5. For quite some time, he's been laundering Hudson's ultra-hawkish talking points on China, passing them off as populist to his progressive audience. Let's take a look at some of these. Saagar Enjeti, John Cena's disgusting bow to China, reveals how sold out the US elite is. Saagar Enjeti exposes Bloomberg corruption. Is he a Chinese asset? Saagar Enjeti reveals how China bought Bush, Clinton, and Biden family. Saagar Enjeti, CCP member, caught revealing how China will use Wall Street to control Biden. Yeah, this is some pretty recurrent propaganda from Saagar Enjeti, gotta say. Doesn't he have lame takes on sex too? Probably. Wait, Irked, why did you say Daily Caller? Did I read something by the Daily Caller? Doesn't mention his work for Tucker at the Daily Caller. I think it's gonna get there. Maybe? Undisclosed in all of this is the gigantic conflict of interest inherent in the fact that Enjeti's salary at the Hudson Institute came courtesy of piles of cash donated by the anti-China governments of Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea. Unfortunately, Rising/Breaking Points is going all in on the lab leak theory, making their coverage on this issue indistinguishable from Fox News, or the Hudson Institute for that matter. We got this clip here. Which, the Rising is no more, but we'll watch the clip anyway.
The media decided that they wanted this answer, and they sought the rationale to put on these aggressive headlines about this is a discredited theory, this is debunked, it's a conspiracy theory, et cetera, and now it looks more and more likely that this is actually what happened.
Like I said, it's not just media failure. This is real stuff. Like, in terms of the policy implications of this, it's immense going all the way.
Let me guess, Saagar is going to be like, yeah, they weaponized this virus and deliberately leaked it. I'm gonna guess that's where he's going.
Back to March and April. We could be living in a totally different country if the coverage on this had been different. And it might sound exaggerative, but if people had found out in May of 2020 that Dr. Fauci was involved in funding this type of research, you think you would have had the same amount of trust to go on cable television? But they loved it because they put him and gave him hundreds of millions of dollars in free airtime in order to go up there because it was the perfect counter to Trump. It created this entire narrative. What? And around all of that.
Wait, what? Okay, what has Dr. Fauci done with that spotlight that's objectionable? Other than direct people to get vaccinated and talk about how the virus works. Listen, I don't think you're going to change the world. I mean, that's fine. You don't have to. But thank you for being here, Men's Fruity Booty.
That. Same with Russiagate. Russiagate is not a victimless crime. We live in a country more hawkish towards Russia than we were in 2015. You think that's a good thing? A dying petrostate while the Chinese are expanding all across of Southeast Asia?
Yeah,
you know?
and by the way, I don't want another freaking pandemic, so let's figure out how this all happened.
That was, Matt Taibbi dubbed Russiagate the next WMD. I actually...
Your brother came out as trans? First, I just have to ask, because somebody coming out... You mean your sibling came out as a trans man? That's awesome! Congratulations to him. Shout out to Yuki! And Yuki, you're very lucky to have a sibling like Mama Panda. If no one watched all this BS, they wouldn't have a platform. True. It's almost like media helps shape and change the world.
I really think this might be worse than Russiagate in terms of the implication. I mean, sorry, this might be worse than Russiagate and might actually be the next WMD in terms of the policy implications of it, what was pushed at the time, the total and complete cover-up, the potent marriage of patriotism with official lies from people in establishment that happened.
Okay, also, how is it lies to be like, hey, we don't have evidence that it leaked from a lab? When that was accurate. How is that lies?
With WMD, we'll find out in the next 20 years.
Yeah, like the lab leak, there's a reason it's called the lab leak theory. It's because we don't have hard evidence on that yet. Now, to me, it's very possible that it leaked from a lab, but also I don't really see what difference it makes if it leaked from a lab or if it like occurred naturally in the wild, because either way the results are still the same. And I think anyone who's pushing the lab leak theory is trying to imply generally, and let me put it this way. Anyone who's pushing the lab leak theory and implying that there were sinister motivations behind covering it up, I think they're trying to push an idea that China deliberately leaked that virus.
We have another lab leak from gain of function, you know, God help us all, because we really could have, we might have been able to avoid it.
Ultimately, looking at his background and professional history, it appears far more likely that he's a standard conservative who's pivoting to the same populist shtick his former boss, Tucker Carlson, did a few years ago, and which other Hudson fellows have tried with less success. Here's Saagar supporting a global U.S. empire.
I am not for like a multipolar world. And a lot of socialists that I've argued with, they are very comfortable and okay with multipolarity. I mean, they've laughed at me.
So what is that? So what does a multipolar
Right, so
world look
they've
like?
laughed at me when I'm like, God, we'll be doomed to Europe. And they're like, oh, well, in Europe they have healthcare. And I'm like, yeah, but they also have no say over the global affairs of the world. I want to write the affairs of the world, the rules of the road. I want to be the only blue water navy. I don't want the Chinese ruling the Straits of Malacca and the South China Seas, because I believe America, for me, it's about freedom. America and
Look, I'm only advocating for an America hegemony over the entire world, American dominance over the entire world, because what it's all about is freedom. What kind of brain poison do you have? Where you're like, yeah, we need to take over the entire world because freedom. Like, stop huffing your own farts, my dude.
American citizens are less free with a global authoritarian superpower like China that is rising in the East. I am not for like a...
Goodness gracious. 10. Saagar might have based his pivot on former boss Tucker Carlson, who used to be a bow tie wearing out-of-the-closet elitist who called working class people peasants live on air. Here's Tucker Carlson slamming Bill O'Reilly for his fake populism before he pulled the same move.
Another quote from your book: Bill O'Reilly's success is built on the perception that he really is who he claims to be. If he ever gets caught out of character, it's over.
That's right. I say before that, you know, Bill O'Reilly's really talented. He's more talented than I am. You know, he's got a lot more viewers than I do. He's a better communicator than I am. But I think there's kind of a deep phoniness at the center of his shtick. And again, as I say, the shtick is sort of built on this perception that he is the character he plays. He is every man. This kind of, he's not right-wing, he's a populist. This kind of Irish Catholic populist fighting for you against the powers that be. And that's great as a shtick, but I'm just saying the moment that...
Guys, that's not hair. He ordered it special from Lego, okay? It just pops off. He's bald underneath.
It's revealed not to be true. It's over. The moment he gets caught, you know, slapping a flight attendant on the Concorde for not bringing his champagne fast enough, or barking at, you know, one of his subordinates to take the, you know, brown M&Ms out of my bowl and get me a bottle of Evian, or something like that. The second that makes page 6, it's over, right? Because the whole thing is predicated on the fact that he is who he says he is, and just nobody is that person, especially not someone who makes $1 million. You know,
Hey,
many
ugly
millions a
pie.
year, as he does.
Is there more here? No. Yeah, and this kind of gets at the issue I've always had with The Rising and with Enjeti and Ball's dynamic. Ball is a progressive while Enjeti is a conservative. Nevertheless, both present themselves as populists who have a lot in common, something that was the central message of their best-selling book, The Populist's Guide to 2020, A New Right and Left Are Rising. The issue is that you cannot ally yourself as a leftist with someone who is conservative, even if they are like, yeah, we agree on the same on the same things. Because it's the kind of situation where it's like how you can talk with a Nazi, for example. This is an extreme example, mind you, but you can talk with a Nazi and they'll be like, you'll be like, man, we have to do something about poverty. Poverty is just terrible. And the Nazi will just be like, yes, it is terrible. We do have to do something about that. But, like, the progressive solution to that would be, like, housing for all, or, like, Medicare for all, or, you know, some kind of decommodification plan. Whereas a Nazi would just be like, we must put the poor into camps, and then we'll put them to work, or find a solution for them. Like, if I'm gonna be totally honest, Saagar just seems like a really good fascist propagandist. I don't know enough about his politics exactly to be like he is a fascist, but he is he has described himself openly as a nationalist. He embraces populist ideas in order to further his nationalist and conservative agenda. He is definitely willing to sacrifice minorities in order to get populist policies passed. I think it is not too unfair to say that he is an ally to fascists, that he is sufficiently far right that when someone on the left proposes a solution to a problem and he goes, yes, that is a problem, we cannot take him in good faith at face value that his agreed upon solution would be to do something that genuinely benefits all of society. Let's see. Before becoming a populist media personality, Enjeti appeared to be training for the role of a deep state official, pursuing an undergraduate degree at George Washington University and a master's degree in security studies at Georgetown University, both DC area colleges well known for their connections to the national security state. Enjeti also decided to study counterterrorism studies at Israeli University IDC Herzliya? I don't know how to say that. Situated on a former military base, the university's board boasts a former head of Mossad and an ex-prime minister, Ehud Barak. Wow, what? Meanwhile, its international advisory board is replete with U.S. national security leaders such as Robert Hutchings, former chairman of the National Intelligence Committee, National Intelligence Council, Stephen Peter Rosen, one-time director of political military affairs at the White House National Security Council, and ex-CIA chief R. James Woolsey. What? Mossad? Mossad. Mossad. That's it. You have to pronounce the proper way to say Mossad is like Borat would. Mossad. That's my joke for the day. Mossad. Did I know the head of TYT is friends with the CIA person? Well, yeah, when you cover a lot of political things, you wind up meeting a wide array of people. Now, I just want to be really clear. I don't think it's really bad. Like, if there was just, like, one person on this board of directors who was, like, you know, ex-Mossad or whatever, that wouldn't be, like, something I would take issue with. But it's literally, like, the entire board is, like, Mossad, the former prime minister, the U.S. national security leaders. Like, it's like, not just one guy on a board of educators. The master's program in counterterrorism studies features modules in profiling terrorists, strategy and deterrence, Arab language, Iranian studies, and a course called Hezbollah, a hybrid terrorist organization. This is an institution that trains Israeli and American intelligence officials, not radical populist outsiders. Let's see. The Counterterrorism Studies Department is headed by Dr. Boaz Ganor, an Israeli government advisor. During the latest Israeli assault on Gaza, IDC Herzliya's president sent out a message to students condemning the Gazans' supposed wanton aggressiveness. These rockets were fired at a civilian population with the intent to kill, he said. Luckily, he said, with the help of Dr. Ganor and coordination with the Israeli-American Council and the use of ACT-IL, an Israeli government-funded app, which helps Zionists artificially infiltrate online conversations and flood them with pro-Israel messages, public opinion was holding firm. Yeah, don't condemn the rockets that didn't kill anybody, but don't condemn the airstrike retaliations that killed like 50 people. Don't condemn those. And then he worked at the Institute for the Study of War, which is funded by Raytheon, General Dynamics, and DynCorp. Yeah, okay. So this is essentially his angle right here. Many critics have argued that true economic populism cannot be conservative and that right-wing populist variants attempt to unite a majority around issues of religion, as in Modi's India, or race, as in Nazi Germany. deflecting popular frustration downwards and using minorities as scapegoats for the country's problems. Enjeti has tried to square the circle of raging against the elites while leaving the system in place by blaming so many of America's failings on China, combining populist rhetoric with Hudson-style foreign policy. Essentially, instead of using religion or race, he's using xenophobia. He's using the xenophobia of the United States towards China, and the discontent by stuff like jobs being shipped overseas, for example, to essentially try and occupy a similar space of right-wing populism that is otherwise held by neo-Nazis or religious fundamentalists. So, that's interesting. Oh, goodness. Yeah, because it's not... Like, you have to remember, guys, in this conservative world, it's not the fault of the companies who are making the decisions to move their operations to China or overseas. It's not the fault of the government for, creating unfavorable conditions through, like, trade wars or tariffs or taxation, etc. No, it's the fault of China for being so gosh darn tasty to these giant multinational corporations. It's their fault, gosh darn it. Yeah, it's essentially Red Scare. You have to be afraid of China because otherwise China's going to be the big bad on the earth and we won't be able to make the rules anymore. Cumsock71, thank you for the follow. Okay, I just have to show this picture. This really says it all, doesn't it? This picture. Hang this on the fucking wall, guys. Hang this on the fucking wall. Holy fuck. Look at his big smile. He's so happy to be sitting next to one of the worst human beings in the political space. Like, he's just so happy, and Dad's reading his book, and... fuck. Yeah, he's a lapdog. He just wants to be... he wants to be the next Tucker Carlson. You know, just like Tucker Carlson wanted to be the next Bill O'Reilly, okay? Tucker Carlson took Bill O'Reilly's spot. Saagar and Enjeti wants to take Tucker Carlson's spot, okay? Their hands are so big. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's essentially so far up Tucker Carlson's ass. Like, we're talking like just in his intestines. It's no longer pleasurable. I honestly can't believe that this picture is real. It's kind of crazy what conservatives can get away with in our popular culture while still being accepted by lefties. Like, there are still people today who are like, yeah, what do you mean Saagar Enjeti's a conservative? And like, he doesn't make a secret about it. Man. I didn't think I'd get this worked up over this story, to be honest with you guys.